about horror films this week?
Yeah, I think we should talk about some horror films. We saw some horror films.
All right. Well, here we are back.
Oh yeah, it's us, the horror guys. Hi again.
Hello. Episode 130, the one where we talk about horror films.
Yeah, this is the one.
The one, yeah.
Yeah, next time we'll be talking about romantic comedies, but for this week, it's horror movies.
You keep promising those romantic comedies, and we always talk horror. One of these days.
We need a horror romantic comedy. There we go. I don't know if that's
I'll bet they're out there.
I bet they're out there. Yeah.
Well, this week we will be watching The Djinn. Djinn, like a genie.
Everything this week is very new.
Yeah, they're all 2021 films, every one of them. I believe they're all available on one of the other streaming services, so you don't need to leave your house to watch any of them. Okay, so we got The Djinn, A Quiet Place Part 2. Shh.
Be very, very quiet.
Yeah, and then we'll watch Bloodthirsty and Werewolves Within.
And even the short is
a couple howlers.
Even the short is only a couple years old.
Yeah, it's a short too, and a short film. All right, so before we get going, don't forget to pick up our books. Go to horrorguys.com/books and look at the list. And while you're looking at that list, buy a couple.
Sure,
they're good. We like them. And if you buy them, we'll like you too.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Yes. All right. So you want to make a wish?
Yeah, we should wish for
The Djinn from 2021.
This is that happy one where he's big and blue and he pops out and he gives the kid 3 wishes and they all live happily ever after, right?
Yeah, and he's voiced by Robin Williams or
am I confusing
the Fresh Prince guy?
Am I confusing my Djinns?
I think you're confusing your Djinns.
Oh, this is more of the gonna eat your
the
face,
real kind of
gonna eat your face kind of genie.
Yeah. Written and directed by David Charbonnier and Justin Powell. Stars Ezra Dewey, Rob Brownstein, and TV Poe. Hour and 22 minutes. Did you like it?
It was okay.
I'll go with that. Yeah, maybe a little better than okay.
I thought the kid was an amazing actor.
For a kid? Yeah, very good.
Yeah, well, he was an amazing actor for anybody. Yeah,
well, most children are really annoying.
Yeah.
We're also currently watching A Haunting of Bly Place.
Speaking of annoying
Netflix.
Children.
Boy, I just want to... I'm just hoping both those kids get eaten pretty soon.
Well,
I know they're not gonna.
The little girl especially, yeah, she just grates on my nerves. I know she's supposed to be endearing and adorable and we're supposed to be rooting for her, but my gosh.
Lock him in a closet with a hungry alligator? But anyway, back to The Djinn. This kid is all right. He's a good actor. He is not annoying.
I agree.
All right.
Yeah, all the acting was just fine.
Special effects were a little on the light side.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't bad, just not much of them.
Yeah. I don't know that they needed more.
Yeah. And afterwards I'll elaborate what I didn't care too much for about it.
On a quiet summer night in 1989. Remember, 1989, so there's no cell phones or computers.
Mm-hmm.
That's why so many films take place in the 80s, I think.
They do that, yeah.
In 89, young Dylan gets out of bed in the middle of the night to find his mother crying in the kitchen. Credits roll. Fall, that same year, Dylan and his father move to a new house, and we see that Dylan cannot speak. Dylan finds some old antiques in the closet, including a dusty old bundle. Inside the bundle is a book called the Book of Shadows. And inside, it's full of magical, witchcrafty-looking stuff, and there's a spell for the Wish of Desire. The old man who used to live in this house is said to have died there. Dylan thinks his problem might be why his mother left them, but his father explains that isn't true. Dad has to work a double shift, so while he's alone, he tries the wish spell. The book explains that it conjures a djinn who grants wishes, but the gift that you seek may cost your soul. At 11 o'clock, Dylan starts the ritual with blood on the candle. Then he does the magic words in front of a mirror, only he uses sign language instead of speaking them aloud.
But it works.
It works. I wish I had a voice, he tells the mirror. Nothing happens, so Dylan goes to bed. And it says very clearly in the instructions you have to do this thing for like an hour. But he's a kid, he don't listen.
That's right.
Well, he dreams about his mother in the kitchen again. This time, she takes something out of a box. Well, he gets up to take a shower. Dylan takes his shirt off, and we see that he has some kind of major scars on his upper chest. He also uses an inhaler. While he's in there, black smoke comes out of the mirror he used for his spell. Afterwards, Dylan starts hearing things around the house. Is he really home alone? Dylan finally sees it and hides in the bathroom. The Djinn reads the newspaper about a dead convict who was killed in a hit and run. It takes his form. Except in the mirror, you can see the black, smoky reality. And did I mention that all 4 of these brand new films, we're going to spoil the crap out of them?
Well, we should mention that.
We should probably mention that.
Yeah,
Spoilers ahead.
We're going to spoil the crap out of them.
This is all pretty early in the film. This is not much of a spoiler yet, but we'll get there. Well, the creature turns on the gas stove and redirects the gas through the bathroom's heating vent, which is a pretty technical thing for a genie out of a wish. What do they learn?
Magic.
HVAC technology in hell?
Because magic.
Well, Dylan smacks the creature with a toilet tank lid and runs out of the bathroom. He still can't get out of the house, though, as the windows appear indestructible and self-healing. Still, he does remember to turn off the gas. The Djinn next takes the form of the old man who used to live there. There's a lot of cat and mouse play between the two of them until Dylan reads up about Djinns. He needs to blow out the candle after midnight, but it's not time yet, so the flame will not go out. He blows and the candle won't go out. He needs to survive in the Djinn's presence for 1 full hour without dying. Then he gets his wish, which is likely to be twisted somehow in the usual genie fashion. Dylan then sees his mother again, but it's really the monster who chases him some more. Dylan once again relives seeing his mother take a gun out of the box and shoot herself in the head. Finally, we know what happened to her.
But this time around, he sees what would have happened if he called out.
Not yet.
Well,
not yet.
Not yet. Okay, not yet.
We always know what really happened.
That's right, yes. Because the Djinn is messing with him still.
Yeah. It's only seconds until midnight, and Dylan is ready to blow out the candle when the Djinn walks into the room. It can't see him, but it hears really well. And where did this part come in earlier, that it couldn't see him?
Because he threw harsh chemicals at it. It had limitations. That was in the spell that said it'll be restricted by physical laws or something along those lines. And he threw some harsh chemicals in its face.
Okay. It
and
could see before
burned
that.
its eyes out. Yeah.
I totally missed that detail.
Yeah.
All right. Well, she gets between Dylan and the candle, so he can't blow it out. He slices at her ankles with a knife, but she grabs and chokes him. He grabs the knife and stabs her again. He sneaks past her as she lay unconscious, but she wakes up and breaks his leg. They then have a slow-motion crawling chase toward the candle in the kitchen. He gets there first and blows out the candle.
All better.
She turns to smoke and blows away, and Dylan's injuries are all gone. He still can't talk, so was it all worth it? Dylan then goes through the recurring dream with his mother again, but this time he's able to yell, "Mom!" before she pulls the trigger. Could I have stopped it, he asks, and she shakes her head. It wasn't his cause. Dylan wakes up when his father comes home and they hug. The Djinn comes up behind the father and steals his ability to speak in order to heal Dylan's inability to speak. Oh, it took one from the other.
Mm-hmm. Dirty trick.
Dylan can now talk, but now he has no one to talk to. And of course his father had a career on the radio, which is now completely over.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Can't do radio without a voice very well. Yeah.
So, you had commentary.
Well, this cat and mouse thing, you to call that a house. I mean, they did play it up, and they did a pretty good job with it.
It's a normal apartment with like 4 or 5 rooms.
It's not even quite an apartment. It's more like a motel type thing. And it is. It's like 4 rooms.
Yeah.
And there's this cat and mouse, and it makes it seem like, it's this huge house where he's hiding and, all these places to run and hide. And it's like 4 rooms or 5 rooms at most. And I don't know. It just, I kept thinking this is kind of lame for, the limited amount of space. They were really pushing and exaggerating.
It's a 2-bedroom
for
apartment.
as small
How
as
many
the place
places
was.
are there normally to hide?
Yeah, there's the 2 bedrooms, the living room, the bathroom, and the kitchen, basically. And yet there seemed to be an infinite number of places to run and hide and, cat and mouse in. That was my biggest complaint about it.
All right. Well, Dylan's reaction seemed pretty believable for a kid in this situation. He tries to break out a window at one point, but we never see him actually try the door, which is odd. There's not a lot of talking in this one, since Dylan is mute and alone through the majority of the film. And for a film with almost no dialogue, it's not really boring.
Oh, not at all. No.
It's tense and it has a lot of suspense. The acting from Ezra Dewey as Dylan is really good. The father seems especially likable too, but he's not in it after the first couple minutes. The cinematography and sound are excellent, and the lighting, well, it's dark in the house, but not too dark. Even when the lights are out, you can see what's going on.
Yeah, the lighting person really knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I absolutely hate the black-on-black movies that we keep getting.
And then the lights went out and things happened. Like, what? What's going on?
Just turn the camera off.
Is that a knife? Is that a shadow? No, I can't tell. It's too dark.
Well, in this one, you could tell.
Yeah, so this one, that was definitely nice.
Although it does maybe feel a little stretched out in places, like your cat and mouse thing. Mm-hmm. It has a real downer of an ending, which would be fine in a Twilight Zone episode, but seemed pretty harsh since it happened to a little kid who had gone through so much. The father was also a really nice guy, and certainly didn't deserve what happened to him.
When bad genies happen to good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so it was good. It was all right.
Overall, a thumbs up.
Not satisfying exactly, but good.
But good, yeah.
All right. What did you think of the first Quiet Place?
I liked it. Liked it a lot.
We reviewed it here many, many episodes ago, and I think we both liked it. Mm-hmm. It had some seriously silly plot holes to it, but we liked it.
Yeah, it wasn't a 10, but it was way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they made a sequel.
And I liked the sequel better.
A Quiet Place Part 2 from 2021. You liked the sequel better.
I did. And your opinion?
Did not.
Oh, okay. So I guess, folks, you'll have to watch it for yourself to decide which of us is right.
Well, if you saw the first film, just change the father for a different character, and it's the same film again.
No. It was different enough.
All right, so there are going to be some spoilers here, even for the first film. And here comes the spoiler from the first film. The father dies in the end.
Yeah.
Which, if you've seen the movie, you know that.
You know that.
But that's important to remember for this one. The rest, not so much.
Because they don't see him getting killed. It's a combination prequel and sequel, actually.
Yeah, the pre-credit sequence is a prequel.
Yeah.
After that, it's all later.
Yeah.
So, directed by John Krasinski, written by him and Brian Woods, stars Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, and Cillian. Is it Cillian or Killian Murphy?
I thought it was Cillian.
All right.
I'm not 100% sure.
You know, that Weasley guy that played the Scarecrow, Sunshine.
And other stuff.
Many other things.
A really tremendously good actor.
Yeah.
I think it's Cillian, but I'm not, I wouldn't bet money on it.
Okay. Hour and 37 minutes, and we got a link in the show note if you want to watch this one. So, like you said, early on before the credits, we get a prequel from day one, which was long before the first film. Lee Abbott, the father from the first film, goes to the store, and the shopkeeper is watching something on TV that fascinates him. There was some kind of an explosion or bomb on the news, but nobody pays much attention to it. This is the same store that they started the first film in, and you can see the rocket ship that caused all the trouble on the shelf there here in this film too.
And what I thought was a neat touch with the opening scene, they show the deserted little town street. And you think, oh, this is after, and everybody's gone and stuff. No, it's just a little town, and it's a quiet day, and everybody's, not everybody, but a lot of people are at a sports game that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
That's going on. And so the downtown is just deserted.
The whole
at
town
that moment,
goes to the kids'
they show a
game.
moment where there's nobody on the street, and
yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's just a quiet day, but...
Afterwards, he goes to one of the kids' baseball games. Right in the middle of the game, they all watch something flaming fall from the sky. Everyone quickly leaves the baseball game as the thing continues to slowly come down. Meteor? Lee's friend Emmett has a brother who works at the base. He'll call and see what's up. Well, then a police car with its lights and sirens on pulls up, and Lee asks what's going on, when something big and nasty runs out of nowhere and destroys the loud cop car. Boom!
And you do get to see a lot more of the big nasties.
Yes, you do. Yeah. They had a much larger budget with this one.
Yep.
Elsewhere, the mother, Evelyn, is trying to drive home through a full-scale alien attack. Lee and his deaf daughter take shelter, but someone's phone goes off and mayhem ensues. And at this point, the credits roll.
So
that was the pre-credit
prequel.
Sequence
How it
and
began.
the prequel of the film. Yeah, the prequel of both films. All right, then after the credits are done, we jump up to day 474, which is immediately after the first film, where, spoiler, Lee the father has died at the end. Well, they take stock of what's left after the big battle, pack up, and start a road trip to some places marked on their father's map. And at the end of the first film, they clear the whole area of aliens using that sonic thing. I don't know why they wouldn't have just stayed there. They took some damage.
But, yeah, the place was damaged, but still viable. Yeah, I don't understand what they thought. Unclear on what they thought was going to be better out there somewhere.
Yeah, well, they got this map. And
well, that would... Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
They travel through an industrial-looking wasteland and spring a noise-making trap. They run as quietly as they can, but someone is watching them through a sniper's gun sight. Marcus steps into a bear trap. Ow. Yeah. If you didn't like the nail in the first movie, the bear trap is just as good.
It's worse, yeah.
And of course, he screams in pain, which starts the baby going as well. Good thing the area is clear of monsters. Oh, it's not clear of monsters.
Not clear of monsters.
Fortunately, they still have the sonic weapon from the first film, and they are eventually captured/rescued by Emmett, who is also still alive and lives in an abandoned steelworks.
Yeah, we saw him at the ball game at the prequel portion.
Well, they all catch up with each other's stories. Lots of people are left, but they've become not the kind of people worth saving, Emmett explains. They hear a song, Beyond the Sea, playing on the radio that's been playing for 4 straight months. Emmett says that they can't stay. Regan, who's deaf anyway, says it's not music, it's a message to go to an island marked on her map. She wants to go looking. I can save us, she says, and sneaks out during the night. Just like every teenager in a horror movie ever.
All by yourself.
And, you know, if you were on an island and wanted people to come to your island in an alien invasion, why wouldn't you just get on the radio and say, hey, come to the island, we're safe here, they can't swim, come to the island, we're safe here. Why play this cryptic song that...
Because I think that they might have been concerned that the aliens could have understood it if they just spoke in plain, language. And also the riffraff. I think they knew there was a lot of bad people that they wouldn't necessarily want.
Then why play anything? Why not just shut up and stay on your quiet, safe island?
Yeah, why not hide? Yeah. Kind of a plot device.
Oh, very much so, yes. Yeah. All right, well, Evelyn, who's stuck caring for the baby, and Marcus's chopped up leg, can't do much. She convinces Emmett to go looking for Regan, who also took their rifle and all the supplies.
Well, some of them, yeah.
Meanwhile, Regan does battle with a creature in a derailed train, and it goes badly for her. Emmett arrives to save her just in time. They take a while coming back, and Evelyn decides to go for oxygen and medical supplies, leaving half-crippled Marcus in charge of the baby. Cue simultaneous walking through apocalyptic landscape montages. Everybody's walking in the ruins.
See, and that's one of the things I liked about it, was that they split up and showed different places, different things happening at the same time. That's one of the aspects I liked better about this.
Marcus goes up out of their safe place to look around, leaving the baby in the box with the oxygen tank. He finds Emmett's dead wife and gets locked in the safe with no air. Emmett lied about leaving his dead wife back at the house. And
no, he didn't.
He
left. She died.
Well, she did die. Okay.
No, I don't think he.
I was not under the impression he was carrying her dead body around with him.
Well, I had the impression that she died there.
Okay.
I think he killed her. I think there was some allusion to that she was sick and
screaming and in pain.
Yeah, and I think
he may have done it.
I think he killed her to quiet her you know, so he was double gripped with the, you know, the grief of losing her and the guilt of, you know, having to finish her off.
Then why would nobody tell Marcus, hey, don't go in that little closet over there, that's where my dead wife is?
He probably just didn't think that that would happen, you know, that he wouldn't go exploring.
Oh, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
All right, so to summarize where we're at right now, Reagan runs off alone. Evelyn goes off alone. Marcus goes off alone. And the baby is left alone. What could go wrong?
Well, lots of things.
Emmett and Reagan get to the marina, and there are lots of boats there. They're captured by other survivors, but they use the monsters to escape. They take a boat and go to the island, where they find a small village with electricity, normalcy, and people.
And the monsters cannot swim.
Yeah. Emmett shows the man on the island the hearing aid weapon. The next morning, Emmett finds a boat that has drifted to the island. The monsters can't swim, but an alien was on board that boat. They lure it away from the village and go to hide in a radio station. Meanwhile, to escape from an alien, Evelyn has climbed into the airproof safe as well, and the oxygen tanks are running out.
I think that was a furnace, not a safe, though. I think it was a repurposed big old industrial furnace.
Industrial blast furnace from the steelworks. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Emmett locks Reagan in the radio station booth while the monster approaches. The other monster torments Evelyn and Marcus, but it can't quite reach them inside the safe place. Reagan sticks her feedbacking hearing aid in the transmitter, which really annoys the monsters, until the kids put them out of their misery. The end.
Yeah.
So, in the end, the hearing aid saved them all again.
Mm-hmm.
All
yeah.
right.
And now they know that they can use this as a weapon and, you know, hopefully find a way to mass produce it or, you know.
Just like in the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe,
okay.
You know.
All right, well, this is a world where girls born deaf know how to be as silent as a ninja, and batteries never die.
True that.
You know, I know people with hearing aids.
And they don't last that
and
long.
They have to change their batteries like every hour sometimes.
Well,
those
okay,
things
they're
don't
not
last.
Well, they're not that long, but a couple weeks of normal use, and this was not normal use. She had it cranked up to the maximum and feeding back, generating this screeching.
And the boy with his like little boombox radio, those batteries.
We never saw them
change
change
400
batteries.
And something days.
We never saw them change batteries or have batteries or
Okay, well, there are just a ton of easy plot holes in this one, and you don't have to look far. Why didn't the people in the marina take a boat to the island? I mean, it's not a secret island. It's on every map in the world.
Yeah, it was fairly sizable, and they knew there was buildings there and stuff, and a radio station. And,
everyone knew the monsters couldn't swim.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they just take
Why
one of those boats,
everybody
20
go
feet out
to
in the
an
lake?
island? Even if you don't know there's people there already, why wouldn't you say, hey, there's an island, let's go there?
Or better yet, live on a boat.
Yeah.
I mean, you can move like 20 feet off the dock and you're safe.
More or less.
They don't jump. They don't swim.
They could jump pretty good. You know, it might take 40
maybe more
feet,
than 20 feet.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, exactly. All these boats.
A whole marina full of boats.
Yeah, there was that.
Which were still floating unattended 474 days later.
Yeah.
Boats take a lot of maintenance.
Oh, I think they would.
Bad weather.
Oh, I think they would just sit there floating in a marina, docked up. I think they'd be okay. Yeah. Oh, they wouldn't all just sink. I mean, they'd sit there. If they were secured and battened down and everything, they'd be fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone knew the monsters couldn't swim. Couldn't they? Oh, another thing, couldn't they just make a recording of the hearing aid sound and use it on their tape deck machine?
They didn't think of that.
That way the Marcus would have one too.
Yeah.
It's just a sound.
They didn't think of that. Yeah, super high frequency and
Yeah. We see a lot more of the creatures in this one since the budget was triple of the original. And the creature effects vary, with some of them looking like venom and others looking like raw meat. They're pretty cool overall.
Yes, they were.
For the most part, though, this has almost all the same elements of the first film, but I think the first one did it better.
Yeah, I thought this one was better, more action, more. You know, we got past the tiptoeing around barefoot on a trail. Okay, yep, we still got to be quiet. Yep, we're still tiptoeing around barefoot on the trail. You know, in this movie, it's like, yes, we get it. You have to be quiet. Now let's have some action and do some stuff and, you know, do various things and go and show various points of view from different places. And I just thought this was more watchable.
In the first movie, they were on the family farm that they'd lived in for decades, and everybody walked around outside barefoot.
Oh yeah, and that was a thing.
Which is fine because you know the terrain, you know the land,
quiet.
It's all grass, and you got to know you're going to be. In this one though, the girl is walking down the railroad track, which is gravel and wooden beams and who knows what on the ground, and to walking all the way to miles and miles and miles barefoot.
They were walking on nice soft. They had poured.
Well, Emmett is wearing combat boots the whole time
into the. They made a trail around the farm.
Yeah,
of nice soft. But just walking out there. I mean, shoes are not going to be that much louder, and plus they protect your feet. And you step on a pointy rock and say, "Oh fuck, and then realize, oh yeah, I got to be quiet."
I have trouble walking to the bathroom in the middle of the night barefooted. I mean, I can't imagine walking downtown on a railroad track.
Well, your feet would get toughened up after a while, but still, yeah. Yeah, shoes would be better.
Yeah.
You know what I'd like? More.
You're hungry.
You're hungry. I want some of your delicious cooking.
All right. Yeah, we saw a short film this week called Bakemono from 2019, released in 2021.
Another tremendously good child actor, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, she was when she was in the latter half. She did the creepy really well, I thought. Yeah.
Written and directed by Sumire Takamatsu and Jorge Lucas, stars Claudia Fabella, Shio Muramatsu, and Daisuke Suzuki. 9 minutes, 34 seconds, and you can watch this one. There's a link in the show notes. This is one you can actually go watch.
And you should. It was really good.
It was good, yeah. It's partially subtitled.
Mm-hmm. It's a mix of Japanese and English.
Yeah. Well, a Japanese family sits down to eat dinner. The daughter doesn't want to eat, so the mother explains that uneaten food can attract bakemono, or evil spirits. There's a yearly thing where children throw beans outside to banish the evil spirits. This little girl, Ayumi, refuses and actually takes pity on the spirits. They never did anything to me, she shouts.
Yet.
What could go wrong? All right, well, it looks good, the acting is good, and the characters and reactions seem realistic. I don't know about the bean-throwing procedure, but it seems like the sort of thing children would do. Parents everywhere get crabby when children don't eat, so that's pretty universal. The makeup effects are fine here, but fairly minimal, and the outcome is unsettling.
Yeah.
Left me wanting more.
And if you watch it, you'll know what we're talking about.
All right. So, so we got 2 werewolf movies coming up.
We do.
And to be honest, I only thought one of them was about werewolves. I thought the other one was about vampires, but it turned out to be about werewolves.
Mm-hmm. It was less clear.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Bloodthirsty, I went into it expecting vampires, and it was werewolves.
Yes.
Werewolves Within, though, it's pretty obvious what that one's about.
Spoilers, it's about werewolves.
Yeah. Werewolves Within from 2021, written by John Rubin, directed by Mishna Wolf. Coincidence? I think not. Stars Sam Richardson, Milana Vaintrub, and George Basil. Hour and 37 minutes. And there's a link you can watch this one. This one's on Amazon Prime.
Very comedic.
Very, yeah. Did you like this one?
I did. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yeah. And as the YouTube description says, feature adaptation of the video game where werewolves attack a small town.
Oh, yeah. And we watched a little trailer of that video game.
We watched a trailer of the video game, and unless the actual video game is completely different, that game is nothing. I mean, the whodunit aspect is the only thing, trying to figure out who is who's really the werewolf or werewolves. Other than that, boy, that video game just what? How they, to call it an adaptation.
Well, whodunits and werewolves seem to go together really well.
Yeah,
we watched The Beast Must Die a few months ago, where they were all together, and it was like
it's always a fun thing. Who is the beast?
And there was that bad one that we didn't like with the card game. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the same thing too. Who is the werewolf?
Who is it? Yeah, well, I thought they did this one really well. Liked it a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, the film starts out with an especially ominous quote from Mr. Rogers. Credits roll. Well, we see a man killed in the woods just outside of his home. 30 days later, Finn Wheeler drives into town for his new post as ranger. He goes to the Beaverfield Inn, which is the same building where we saw the man die in the previous scene. Sam Parker wants to put a pipeline through Janine's property. Janine has doubts about selling her land for the pipeline. Finn meets Cecily, the town mail person. Before long, we meet the rest of this quirky, silly town.
It is very small.
Very small.
Yeah.
Finn's,
Like we see the entire population of
I
this
think
little...
we do, yeah.
It's more of a settlement than a town.
Finn soon gets distracted by his phone and walks right by all the trespass and die signs outside of Mr. Flint's house. Flint is the town nut, but it's hard to tell with all the other weirdos.
Is he any weirder than the rest of the people? No.
Finn and Cecily have some bonding time while they throw axes at the wall. That night, there's an excessive winter storm and the power goes out all over town. Something outside eats Trish's dog, which pushes her right over the edge. Also, there's an avalanche that traps everyone in town. Power's out. Trapped in town.
Perfect.
How convenient.
Perfect storm.
Finn finds claw marks on all the generators all over town. Then he finds an arm, which is attached to Janine's missing husband, who everyone thought had run off.
I guess he didn't.
Dr. Ellis thinks she'll be able to identify the creature for the blood samples. And Janine's husband, the missing guy here, he's the one who died in the beginning. We didn't know who he was at first. Finn suggests calling on Mr. Flint, the expert hunter, to help in trapping the wild animal. Most of the town gathers to stay in the inn since the power's out and they can stay warm in there. Wait, maybe Flint is the killer. Could Flint be the killer?
Anybody could be.
Night falls and paranoia sets in. Something pulls Pete out of bed and bites him. Dr. Ellis gets a sample, but she won't say what the animal is. She barricades herself in a room and goes a little crazy, just like Wilford Brimley did in The Thing.
Oh, yeah, and do you mention her equipment that she brought along at any point?
She's there to protest this pipeline that's going in.
Well, that's what she
says. She's the
says.
environmentalist to protest this pipeline, and she brings microscopes, centrifuges, a DNA machine to identify random DNA.
Spectrograph. I mean, she's
Spectrograph.
got a full
Yeah, why
lab.
any of this would be necessary for what she was there for, we don't know.
That's not really what she's there for.
I think it was.
No, she was...
Somebody else was there for the werewolves.
She was... No,
didn't get the impression she was.
Yeah, she knew what was up. That's why she brought all that stuff.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, she says it's a lycanthropy. Then Parker opens the door and says Ellis killed herself. They all talk about werewolves in Wendigos. They all lock themselves in a room together and wait for someone to turn. Finn gives a rousing "can't we all just get along" speech, and then most everyone just puts on their coats and goes home. Finn, Cecily, and Janine board up the windows. Then Cecily finds a newspaper clipping about Finn's previous posting. Could he be the killer? There have been other attacks along the route of the pipeline. Could the killer be Parker? Nope, it's time for the well-armed townspeople to turn on each other. Someone is secretly a werewolf hunter. Cecily and Finn go back to the bar with the axes to recover, and then we find out who the werewolf really is. Hey, I didn't completely spoil that.
You didn't completely spoil that. I'm so proud of you.
Well, we haven't got through it yet. At least Finn finally got to use some snowshoes. He'd been talking them up throughout the entire film.
And he finds a use for them.
He does.
Yeah.
The acting is appropriately comedic and good from most of the actors. Some of the characters are really annoying, and at least one of them doesn't die fast enough. That woman with the dog.
She was something.
Oh, yeah. She's annoying. The transformation scene doesn't come until the very end, and is handled well when it finally does get there. There are a lot of similarities to The Thing here. Even some of the musical cues toward the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you noticed that at the time, yeah.
Now, I guess that might be unavoidable with an enemy within kind of story. But, yeah, the director here is clearly was very familiar with The Thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a little mixed on this one. It's mostly clean. The Finn, I mean, he's like, oh gosh golly, kind of talking.
Yeah.
Golly darn it.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah, it's mostly clean, not especially gory. It's a full comedy, semi-horror film.
Not for kids, though.
Fairly predictable, but still fun.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was very fun, very good. All in all, a thumbs up.
Not for kids, you say?
I don't think so. No.
I don't remember.
Older kids, old kids,
okay,
maybe. Yeah. Not rated. Yeah. Well, what is the rating? Is it an R?
I don't know.
PG-13.
I mean, there's very little cussing and there's no sex.
Oh, it isn't a rated R.
There's a little gore.
It is a rated R. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I'd be kind of on the fence. Older teens.
All right.
Probably be okay with it. Yeah.
All right, and that takes us to our last film of the day, Bloodthirsty from 2021. With Bakemono left us hungry. Bloodthirsty leaves us thirsty. Directed by Amelia Moses, written by Wendy Hill Tout, stars Lauren Beatty, Greg Brick, Catherine King-So, hour and 24 minutes. Did you like it?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. And go on. Yes. You're waiting for me to say more.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we open with a girl hungrily eating something very bloody and juicy. We pull back to see it's just a dream. Gray, the character's name, Gray wakes up with a bloody mouth. She's bit herself in her sleep. Her psychiatrist changes her anti-hallucination medication. And the psychiatrist is Michael Ironside, who's looking quite old, fat, and gray at this point.
Needs more Mel.
No, it doesn't need more. He's the Mel Novak of this film.
That's what I was thinking at the time. Mel Novak would have been perfect in that role.
We've watched like half a dozen films where Mel Novak comes on the screen.
He pops up as some guy sitting there
at a desk for
some
30
kind of
seconds,
expert or
60 seconds.
Political administrator, or something.
He reads his lines and he goes home. And Ironside does the same thing.
His recent movie, the most recent movies we've seen him in, yeah. And that's exactly what Michael Ironside does in this.
Exactly. He sits at the desk and he reads some lines.
Reads them well.
Well, he used to be this, tough guy,
he's
action
a good
star,
actor,
and now he just sits at a desk and reads medical notes.
Yeah.
It was a paycheck, I imagine.
He used to be Michael Ironside. And
now he's Burl Ives.
He still is.
Well, she's found someone to produce her next album, and he's Vaughn Daniels, who was once tried for murder but was acquitted. She and her girlfriend, Charlie, drive up to Vaughn's home in the country. Vaughn has a grumpy old woman servant named Vera. Vaughn gives Gray some good advice, and it really helps her music. Still, she's pretty burnt out and tired of singing. That night, Gray dreams of being chased through the snow by something large and growling. They have dinner, and Gray explains why she's a vegan. Vaughn explains that he almost never leaves the house anymore. He's been a recluse since the murder trial. He explains that one day he came home and Greta simply shot herself in the head. Charlie wants to go home, but Gray believes Vaughn can really help her music.
And he does.
Vaughn says he can smell something primal in Gray, and she needs to use that for her music. She's a little creeped out by him, but she also thinks about it. As she sings her new song, she imagines that her fingernails are turning into claws.
Or is she? That was kind of questionable. Did she imagine it, or was that really happening?
Well, she'd been having a lot of dreams.
Yeah.
I took it as she was imagining it
but
at this
that
point.
really could have gone either way, I think.
Well, we don't know at this point.
But I like that about this movie, because you don't know for sure. Yeah.
Well, she'd had hallucinations for years.
Yeah,
were they, though?
Yeah, or were they? Yeah.
She admits that she often hallucinates that she's turning into an animal, and he talks her into giving up her medication. That evening, Vaughn eats meat, and Gray really wants to eat his meat. That didn't come out quite right. He sneaks
there is some of that implication, though. A sexual,
He sneaks her a secret bite of the meat, and she likes it a lot. He then gives her a drink of absinthe, and she starts hallucinating almost immediately. That's kind of a trope in movies, isn't it?
Absinthe.
Here's an ounce of absinthe, and suddenly you're on an LSD trip.
Yeah, it's not like that.
It's not like that. She leans over and actually bites him in the face then. Later that night, she sneaks downstairs and eats the leftover raw steak from the fridge.
She
slurps up the blood.
Craving it.
The next morning, she sings a Bloodthirsty song.
Which is a really good song.
Charlie says, "Since you came here, your music is different." Yeah, maybe it's good now. Vera goes out and picks up a hitchhiker, then drops her off and tells her to run. As the hitcher runs, something pursues her. It kills her and roars. Afterwards, Vaughn sits in his chair, covered in blood, giggling like a lunatic. For some reason, Gray goes wandering around out in the woods the same night and spots a rabbit in the snow, which she then kills and eats raw, just like in the opening scene. Charlie is ready to pack up and leave, but Gray insists on finishing the album with Vaughn. Charlie insists on leaving, and Gray throws her against the wall. Vaughn explains that he and Greta had a baby, but he was told that the baby died. That was until he saw Gray on TV and noticed the resemblance.
And he thinks that
Gray is his
daughter.
Vaughn wants her to stay with him. Meanwhile, Charlie turns the car around and heads back to Vaughn's house. Vaughn locks Gray in the studio, and she loses control as the music plays. She turns into a werewolf, but can't get out of the studio.
Or can she?
A werewolf kills Charlie out on the road, but we don't see who it is.
Which one of them is it?
Was it Vaughn, or was it Gray? She confronts him, and then it's time for Gray to decide what it is that she really wants. All right, it's good. The acting is good, the sets are good, and the pacing is good. I liked all the performances here. I'm no music critic, but even I'd buy Gray's album. The musical bits are pretty good.
Yeah.
And I checked, nice. Apple Music has a soundtrack that has all her songs
is available.
In full length.
Yeah, yes. Especially that theme song, Bloodthirsty.
The Bloodthirsty
the main song.
It's the best of the bunch, yeah.
Yeah.
The film is clearly pretty low budget, with basically just 4 people roaming around a big house in the woods. But it doesn't look low budget. They did very well with this one. The werewolf makeup is kind of subtle here. It's not some crazy CGI mess. It's just hair, teeth, and a few prosthetics, but it works in the context of this film. Don't go into this expecting a lot of monster action. It's much more about the build-up and the psychological side of harnessing your inner beast.
The seduction and the unleashing of, all her bottled-up passions.
Yeah.
Usually,
good. Like with these musical stories, what am I thinking of? Uncle Peckerhead, for example, where the music plays a big part of the film. Music's usually not that good, but I did like this one.
Yeah, it was very good.
All right, well, that is our show for the week. Get ready for next week, where we're going to watch some new stuff. What are we going to watch?
Well, some classics. Asylum from 1972.
That's crazy.
Which I saw when it came out. So we'll have to see if it's as good as I remember.
That's an old movie then.
Well, I was 7, so yeah. Near Dark from 1987.
Ooh.
Kind of classic-y, but, newer.
I think that's a modern classic.
A modern classic. City of the Dead from 1960.
Which does not involve zombies.
No.
Nope, not at all.
Not as well known.
Christopher Lee's in this one. It's
some
not
of his
a zombie
early
film.
work, yeah.
And
a new indie anthology,
Triaphilia.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Triaphilia. Tria.
Fear of Threes.
Triaphilia
from 2021.
Yeah.
All right, so check out horrorguys.com, where you can sign up for our email list, where you get the reviews in your email box when we publish them. If you're not subscribed to the podcast or follow the podcast, you know how to do that. Get on your podcast player and hit the follow button.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.